Huh. Yeah. You know what time it is. Welcome back to the locker room with Coach Young. Tape up the ankles, clean up the floor. Game plan ready, we came for more. Down in the room where the real ones speak. Film on the wall and the whole team eat. The locker room. The locker room. Bring the grease, bring the fight. Coach Young in the mix, and we set tonight. Huh.
Is up, everybody? This is your friendly neighborhood coach, and this is the next installment of the Locker Room. Listen, it has been a wonderful week. I hope you guys have enjoyed your week. I hope y'all have had a good time. But this is where we gonna talk Cleveland sports. I am a Cleveland boy, Cleveland bred. I'm gonna be one until the Lord takes me away from here. I want to welcome everybody here on YouTube. I want to welcome everybody here on TikTok and everybody else that tunes into the Locker Room. Today, we are going to talk, of course, Cleveland Brown. We're going to talk about a little bit of Shedeur Sanders versus Deshaun Watson. We're going to talk about the possible signing of Jadeveon Clowney. And I have my opinions on that. We're going to talk about how camp is going so far and where do I see the Browns this season. Then we're going to switch over to the Cavaliers. We're going to talk a little bit about the Lebron withdrawal that the Cleveland fans and the Cavalier fans are having right now. And what's up next? What are the Cavaliers going to do? They did make a signing, and we will talk about it. But are they going to go get a big fish? Are they going to get someone else to come in and help out Donovan Mitchell, try to go back to the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly the NBA championship? Then we'll get into a little bit of Guardians, not a whole lot, but a little bit of the guards and what needs to happen there. They made a Minimowski trade that took place, and so we may touch base on that. And then at the end, I may have a coach's rant. I don't know who the coach's rant is going to be. We'll see as we go. I got a couple guys in mind, Tony Romo and Stephen A. Smith, and we'll see which direction that will go in as we get along here. So grab your favorite beverage. Let's sit back and tune into the Locker Room, okay? The Locker Room is sponsored by Road Dog Health and Wellness. Now, I'm also a licensed personal trainer, not tooting my own horn. It's not what I'm doing, but I know people have a tendency to indulge, even in the new year, going into mid-year, holidays, all that. If you are tired of just being tired, then I want you to log into or go and put on your computer roaddoghealth.com. Schedule a consultation where we can sit down, we can talk about your health and wellness, and we can figure out how you can get over the hump. All right, that's Road Dog Health and Wellness, okay? And I also do Preston Bless Juice Bar, where we create healthy juices. So they coincide with one another, guys. So go to roaddoghealth.com and set up your consultation, all right? And if you sign up with Road Dog Health and Wellness, your consultation is free, okay? Absolutely positively free. So Road Dog Health and Wellness is sponsoring the Locker Room and this episode, all right? All right, let's get this thing started, shall we? Listen, the Cleveland Browns are in camp. They've gone to camp right now. They're in training camp. I actually am so glad that they're in training camp right now because all the talking heads have nothing else that they have to make up. This is where the rubber hits the road, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages. This is where the rubber hits the road. Now, your competition is at the quarterback position, but there are competitions all over the board. But everybody wants to talk about the quarterback position, and that's fine. So let's talk Shedeur Sanders and let's talk Deshaun Watson, okay? Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders are battling to become the starting quarterback. Let me first pause for a second And let's talk about this quarterback tracker. Okay. I want to talk about this quarterback tracker that ESPN radio has. And let me make it perfectly clear. The quarterback tracker that ESPN Cleveland is using is the dumbest tracker I've ever seen in the history of sports. And for you people to go along with that, and I'm saying you people outside of the Cleveland Browns fans, you guys are thirsty. I don't understand how you guys are following along when it comes to a quarterback tracker. They are in training camp. No one cares about a quarterback tracker. No one cares whether Shador was 17 for 22 with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. It's training camp. No one cares. So I have to preface that because I don't really pay attention to that. And I hope you don't. Cleveland fans, I hope you don't. If you do, please explain to Coach Young why you do. Okay? I listen. You can email me at coachyoung3434@gmail.com. Okay? That's coachyoung3434@gmail.com. I want you to explain to me, Cleveland fan, who watches this quarterback tracker, why. Give me your reasoning, okay? Not that I'll agree with it, but I just need to know. That's just something that Coach Young needs to know, all right? So back to training camp. Shador Sanders has looked pretty well from all reports. He's had, one bad outing, but he's looked very well. Deshaun Watson has also looked well. He's had a bad outing where he's thrown a couple of interceptions, okay? But once again, it's training camp. They just came back from time off, and so they're really getting back at it. I'm hearing that the defense is flying around, is doing very well. Mike Hall had a great day yesterday. They said Carson Schlesinger is Carson Schlesinger. I'm expecting a humongous year out of Carson Schlesinger. This is his defense. Okay, let's not get it messed up. Myles Garrett is with the Rams. This now becomes Carson Schlesinger's defense. And I am expecting humongous things out of him. All right. And so Mike Hall looked great. Mason Graham, they said, is just flying off the football. Of course, Jared Verse is bringing the energy, bringing the fire that I'm hearing. Isaiah McGuire doing a great job. The defense is going to look great. However, Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns were entertaining, another free agent, which is Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney was once a member of the Cleveland Browns. And if those remember when Jadeveon Clowney was in Cleveland last, he really had some gripes about Myles Garrett. Now, Myles Garrett is no longer there. And so Jadeveon Clowney is deciding on whether, he wants to choose the Browns and come back and play for the Browns. Now, let Coach Young give you his honest opinion. No one in their right mind wants to sign Jadeveon Clowney, especially the Cleveland Browns. That time has passed. That time has completely passed. So there is no reason to sign Jadeveon Clowney. Now, let me explain why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because the Browns are in a youth movement. Okay? The Browns are in a youth movement. They've gone young across the board, except for Grant Delpit, who they signed to a big year deal, and of course Denzel Ward, who they signed to a long-term deal. Okay, and I'll get back to those two in a minute because I know there are going to be some that are going to say, well, you sign these two guys. These guys are older guys. Why not sign Jadeveon Clowney? Because I think Jadeveon Clowney's ceiling has been met already. Okay. He's not the Jadeveon Clowney that came out of South Carolina. That's not Jadeveon Clowney anymore. Jadeveon Clowney is not going to make you where you're signing and you're putting your scouting report on the board and you're going to put his name on the board. Jadeveon Clowney does not move the needle for me. Okay? Very simple. He just doesn't. Now, if you're looking for someone, a quality backup for these young guys that's out, okay, maybe. But Jadeveon Clowney hasn't been looked at as some type of locker room guy. So I've never seen Jadeveon Clowney, in some type of, leadership role. To me, this is Carson Schwarzenegger's football team in terms of defense. On the offensive side of the ball, whoever the quarterback is, it will be their offense, whether it is Shedeur or whether it is Deshaun. Now, people have asked me my opinion on the quarterback position. For me, once again, I restate, if you're going for a youth movement, then it has to be Shedeur Sanders. You have to find out what Shedeur can do. You gave him 7 games last year, okay? And he did fairly well. He was 3-4 in those 7 games. 3-4, okay? Behind a absolutely pathetic offensive line. And if anybody comes to me talking about Joel Bitonio was just as awful as the rest of those offensive linemen last year. He was terrible, okay? Terrible. So don't come at me saying Joel Bitonio, because when you look at his film, he was a Mexican matador when it came to pass protection in his final couple of years, okay? So miss me with that, all right? But now we have a new vamped offensive line. So you got to give Shedeur an opportunity, okay? If Shedeur does not compete, or if he falls short, you have Deshaun Watson behind him. Now, for those people who are like, well, Deshaun is the veteran, let's put Deshaun out there. Let's just say Deshaun Watson goes out and balls out, and the Cleveland Browns go to the playoffs, and they go deep in the playoffs. Let's just hypothetically say that. Do you re-sign Deshaun Watson for a long-term deal? After he just, in my opinion, he just robbed you for $250 million. Now, did Haslam have to sign that deal? No, he didn't. But do I understand why he did it? Sure. Okay. And Deshaun's been hurt. So let me not say rob. Let me take that back. Let me not say he robbed the Browns. Okay. Because I'm sure he wanted to play. Okay. It was just, if you look at the organization at that time, the organization was dysfunctional. I can be honest. The Cleveland Browns were dysfunctional. Okay. The previous head coach, because I don't want to call his name. The previous head coach was just about as dysfunctional as everything else. And that's why he's that. And that's why they'll find that out in Atlanta. Okay. That he was completely dysfunctional. All right. So if Deshaun, if Deshaun Watson becomes the quarterback, he's got to ball out. But then at that point, you put yourself in a conundrum, because now you got to figure out, do I continue to pay Deshaun Watson? So you got to see what Shedeur Sanders can do. And listen, from all reports and everything that's been seen, this kid is picking it up. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to have a decent season. I'm not saying he's going to throw for 4,000 yards, but he's not going to cause the Browns to lose games. Okay, I think Coach Monken is going to have it where he's going to be, and I hate using this terminology, where he's going to be a game manager. Okay, they're not going to ask Shedeur to go out there and throw for 300 yards. If he does it, great. They've surrounded him with weapons. All right. Casey Concepcion has been, him and Denzel Boston have been stars of the camp early so far. I expect an all-pro season out of Harold Fannin Jr. Okay. I think this guy is an ultimate mismatch when it comes to the tight end position. He reminds me so much of Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates, Hall of Famer, was an absolute mismatch. You could not cover him with a linebacker because he was faster, and you could not use a nickelback on him because he was bigger. So now you're messed up. And I think Harold Fannin Jr. is going to have an outstanding season. So you look at what the weapons that have been brought around. Plus, you have a healthy Quinshaw Junkins, healthy Dylan Sampson, all right, healthy Rocket Sanders. I would even go as far as saying this, and I've thrown this in the airway. If you're going to need a veteran in that locker room, then for me, that veteran in the running back locker room is Nick Chubb. You can get Nick Chubb back here for next to nothing, and Nick Chubb would love it, okay? If you're going to bring in Clowney for some veteran leadership in the defensive line locker room, then why not bring in a professional running back and a quality human being in Nick Chubb and allow him to finish his career where he started? That's just my opinion. It don't mean anything, okay? So continuing on in when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, you know, we'll see when they start doing joint practices. I think their first joint practice is against the Buffalo Bills. So then that's where you'll start to see, and of course, you know, the Cleveland sports media, they want to jump in and they want to talk about, this quarterback. They're trying to make it a controversy. Actually, Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders dispelled that when they were both working out in Florida. They're really trying to change the narrative, but the Cleveland sports media as a whole, except for a few, are trying to make this an adversarial competition, and it's not. It's two guys competing for a spot. One a veteran, one that is going into his second year in the league. My thing is, let them compete. To constantly just barrage Todd Monken with questions on the quarterback position, to me, is absolutely asinine. Stop talking about it. Let these guys compete. Go out and see what's going on. He said he will have a starter by day one. So now I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch things happen. Okay? I'm not going to sit up with a quarterback tracker trying to track everybody. To me, it is a ridiculous concept, and it's a ridiculous mind frame. So I just want to see the quarterback position work out. Okay. I believe that the Cleveland Browns will compete in the division. And here is my thought process about it. Cincinnati is going to be much improved. Okay. They improved a lot on defense. It's just questioning where Joe Burrow's head is. Because Joe Burrow right now, and he's already stated he's not having fun. Okay. Well, Coach Young will tell you this, and I've said this to every athlete I've ever coached if they've had the ability to go to the pro level. At that point, you want to try the fun in it, but you got to understand you're getting paid for it. So you got to put your feelings to the side and go ahead and make that money and go ahead and win football games. Okay? College, high school, pee-wee, yeah, you want to have fun. But you got to understand the NFL is a business. Okay? Pittsburgh is I'm gonna be honest with you, and it's not because I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan or the current Steelers, how much I can't stand the Steelers. I think that they're gonna really have a tough time getting things together. I understand that, you got the savior, Aaron Rodgers is back. DK Metcalf is back. Got the receiver from Indianapolis. They have retooled defense. Pittsburgh's defense has always been good, so Pittsburgh is going to be in the mix. And so I look at, and even Baltimore. You can't rule out Baltimore because you got Lamar Jackson. Okay, but when is Lamar Jackson going to get over the hump? Ravens fan, when is that going to happen? Don't get me wrong, multiple MVP, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but right now he can't get over the hump. Same thing with Josh Allen in Buffalo. You can say and give all the accolades to Josh Allen that you want. He can't get over the top. Okay? Patrick Mahomes has been to the promised land. That's why you can talk Pat Mahomes. Jalen Hurts has been to the promised land. So this disrespect to Jalen Hurts, I don't understand it. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Okay? So my thing is the division, okay? The division is open to me. And Cleveland has an opportunity to do something within the division. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is they're not going to be pushovers this year. So teams that think that you're just going to walk in and destroy the Cleveland Browns, you're not going to. I'm telling you this right now. It's not going to happen. You're not going to just walk in there and walk through. You're going to go in there and it's going to be a dogfight because you got a lot of young, hungry dogs. Okay? And of course, everyone will come back to the Myles Garrett thing and say, okay, coach, you lost arguably the greatest defensive player in the league. Yeah, you did. However, I've said this before, and I'll say it time and time again. I believe letting Myles Garrett go was an addition by subtraction. Myles Garrett was never bought into the Cleveland Browns philosophy. Okay? Yes, he is a great football player. Don't get me wrong. This dude is a game wrecker, game changer. You name it, he is it. But you have to have an ability to lead. I don't care what anybody says. I've been coaching and I've coached for 20 plus years. And the one thing that I look for in athletes is the ability to lead. Now, how did Myles Garrett lead? He led on the field, but that should not be the only component in leadership. Listen, LeBron James, we'll talk about him soon. LeBron James has an ability to make people around him better. Okay? Michael Jordan had an ability to make people around him better. There are different athletes that you can claim they made people better. Tell me one All-Pro that played alongside Myles Garrett. Tell me an All-Pro that Myles Garrett developed other than himself on that defensive line. Tell me. As Medea would say, tell me. Tell me who he's developed. Who came along and rode to the Pro Bowl with Myles Garrett on that defensive line. You can't. Because he didn't. Myles Garrett didn't bring people with him. He didn't. Jadeveon Clowney was already established when he came to Cleveland. He had 8 sacks that year. Okay? He had already been established. But you name me anybody else that played along that defensive line with Myles Garrett that went to the Pro Bowl, that Myles brought, that wasn't already established when he came in. Okay? So what I'm saying is, to be a leader, part of that leadership ability is to make people better. Make people better around you. And to me, he didn't. To me, it was all about Myles. To me, this move to the Rams was all about Miles. Okay? Yeah, people are going to say he wanted to win a ring. I want Myles Garrett to win a ring because to me, that solidifies his legacy as one of the all-time greats. Yes. Yes. But I'm also an individual where he had a voice in that organization where he could have helped rebuild that organization. It's not his responsibility totally, but I've known of a lot of players who've walked in the front offices and said, look, we got to get better. Now, I'm not behind the scenes, so I don't know if he said that or not. Okay. But everything that I've seen in public outside, everything that I've heard him say, okay. Remember, he went down Radio Row about a year or two ago and he bashed the Browns. Then all of a sudden, because they gave him 40 million reasons to stay, he stayed. But I still think he was complaining behind the scenes. Okay. So I'm not bashing Myles Garrett. I'm just saying I never looked at Myles Garrett as a leader. Never. And I don't think he looks at himself as one. Okay. So what is the expectation from Coach Young for the Cleveland Browns this year? I expect them to win. Now, naming how many games, I ain't going out on that ledge yet. Okay. I'm not going out on that ledge yet. They could be single digit. They could be double digit. It all depends on Coach Monken. Now, as I look at Todd Monken, as he's done his press conferences, as he's talked a great game. He is an old school, hard-nosed coach. And he's holding these guys accountable. And that's something that the previous regime did not do. They did not hold players accountable. They did not hold players to a standard. Okay? There is a standard that is being raised in Cleveland. There's a standard that is being raised. There is a culture that is taking place in Cleveland as we speak. And that's the one thing that if you think about the Cleveland Browns, the one thing that they lacked is they lacked culture. To me, they lacked culture since Marty Schottenheimer. Because Marty Ball, everybody knew what Marty was going to do. It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's what Marty was going to do. But he established a culture. Bud Carson, defensively, established a culture. Okay? When you look at Pittsburgh, when it came to Cowher, okay, when it came to Mike Tomlin, all right, they established a culture. Okay? And I'm not disrespecting Chuck Noll because Chuck Noll established that culture. But that culture continued through the Rooney family. It continued. Okay? Right now is where I think it's going to be a hiccup. I just believe it's going to be a hiccup in Pittsburgh right now. All right? So, I'm expecting the Cleveland Browns to win this year. I don't know how many games. I'm not going to predict right now. I'll do that on 3 the Hard Way. By the way, if you guys don't know, I am a member of 3 the Hard Way Sports Talk. If you have not subscribed to 3 the Hard Way Sports Talk, I'm going to tell you right now, for my TikTok people, I want you to go to the tube called You. I want you to look up 3 the Hard Way Sports Talk. You will see me. You will see my man L Train, and you will see my man, my captain, Terrence Austin, and we talk Cleveland sports there as well. All right. So the tube called You. I want you to go to the locker room, not the locker room, but I want you to go to 3 the Hard Way Sports Talk. All right. After you subscribe to the locker room, I want you to go to 3 the Hard Way Sports Talk and go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. All right. For my YouTube people, I want you, if you have not subscribed, you go ahead and you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed here, I don't know what you're waiting on. Okay. You act like I owe y'all money. I don't owe y'all nothing. All right. But y'all come on in here and subscribe. Okay. So moving on. All right. Let's talk Cleveland Cavaliers. All right. I want to talk about the haze or the continuation of our Cavalier fans being a little bit distraught because LeBron James is now a Philadelphia 76. Okay. As I stated last week, LeBron James is entitled to do and go anywhere he chooses. Okay. Anywhere he chooses. And he chose Philadelphia. Now, here is, and you can call this a bit of a coach's rant. Here's where I'm going to go after Rich Paul. Rich Paul had the audacity to come out and say, well, one of the reasons that LeBron didn't go to Cleveland was because the Cavaliers traded Darius Garland. What? Are we serious with that comment? If he made that comment, are you serious? Because people, let me explain something to you. Darius Garland is a member of Clutch Sports. Who runs Clutch Sports? Rich Paul. Who came out when Darius Garland was in the process of being traded, came out and said he told Kobe Altman to trade his client. But the fact that Kobe Altman traded him, now you're saying that's the reason that LeBron didn't come back, or one of the reasons that he didn't come back was because you initiated a trade for your client and that penalized the Cavaliers? Go take a long walk down the shore pier, bruh. Please. You're talking nonsense and boo-boo. That's what you're doing. The fact that you came out before saying, I don't know where LeBron's going. You're not only his agent, but you're his partner. You're his boy. Y'all have known each other since high school. So you mean to tell me that he didn't know where LeBron was going? Shut the front door. Shut the front door. Stop it. Stop with all these semantics, bruh. Because people from Cleveland, the real ones, know that you full of, yeah, we know. Okay? Maybe the national media don't know. Okay? But people between Cleveland and Akron, yeah, we know. All right? So you could take that load and you could put it in a bag and throw it in the trash. He literally came out and was and quote unquote, it was because of the Darius Garland trade. Listen, at this point, I don't want LeBron James. That's fine. And there's no disrespect to LeBron. Surefire Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, all-time leading scorer in NBA history. Gave Cleveland a 2016 championship. MVP of the finals, should have been co-MVP, because I don't know how you disrespect Kyrie Irving and what Kyrie Irving did. Okay? Wasn't LeBron's fault, he got chosen, but it was disrespectful to me because Kyrie Irving was just as effective and just as big as LeBron James in the final. Okay? I'll go as far as saying this, and y'all may think I'm crazy, but without Kyrie Irving, you're not winning the NBA final. You're not. You ain't coming back from 3-1 without Kyrie Irving. And I can say the same without Iman Shumpert, without Richard Jefferson, okay? Without Kevin Love, without Channing Frye, okay? I can J.R. Smith, Matthew Dellavedova. I can go on and on and on. But without Kyrie Irving, without Uncle Drew, and what he was doing to Steph Curry, you not winning the 2016 NBA championship. So why would you disrespect him and not make him a co-MVP in the NBA final? That's just my soapbox when it comes to Kyrie Irving. We're going to talk Kyrie Irving a little bit more later on in the program. So, LeBron decided to go to Philadelphia. I'm not here to talk about Philadelphia. All right. I'm here to talk about what are the Cavaliers going to do next. What's the next move? Now they signed Mario Hezonja. He was a Minimowski player when he was in the NBA. I think he was a first round pick. I know he been around the league. I think his last stop was in Orlando. Then he went overseas. He's won the EuroLeague championship. I think he was a EuroLeague MVP, and he decided that he wanted to come back and play in the NBA. Now, sources that I have overheard that I've on various reports say that it was kind of a ploy. He was just trying to get out of his EuroLeague contract to go to, I guess, a bigger team in Europe. But the Cavaliers are like, look, if we gonna end your contract, then you coming to play with us. All right. So Mario Hezonja is a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That doesn't shift anything for me. Okay. So Kobe Altman got some work to do. I know they're talking Jonathan Kuminga. That I heard about Jonathan Kuminga. They'd have to do a sign and trade. Right now, Kobe Altman is not giving up Jared Allen, and I know that's what the Atlanta Hawks want. Is they want a Jared Allen trade. I don't think the Cavaliers want to give up Jared Allen. Now, I have my pros and cons when it comes to Jared Allen. I have my pros and cons when it comes to trading him. You still have DeMar DeRozan out here as well. DeMar DeRozan is not looking for no Minimowski contract. He's trying to rebuild his career on the way out, so he wants about an $8 to $10 million contract. You can entertain that. But I said something on 3 the Hard Way, and I'll say it here on the Locker Room. To me, if you want to put the kibosh to a LeBron James to Philadelphia thing, you have to get the one player in his career who is his kryptonite. You have to find the one player in LeBron James' career who is his kryptonite. And for those that don't know who LeBron James' kryptonite is, I'm here to tell you. His kryptonite is Kevin Durant. His kryptonite. Think about it. Who won the NBA Finals against, the Cavaliers and against Golden State? Now, mind you, Golden State had already won a championship prior to, but then they brought Kevin Durant in because they were petrified at what LeBron James was doing. They knew that they could not contain LeBron and Kyrie. They knew they couldn't contain them. So what did they do? They went and got one person because they felt that offensively, Steph Curry could neutralize Kyrie Irving. Now, neither one of them could stay in front of each other, but they felt that Steph could score more. But it was that LeBron factor. Draymond Green could defend him. Andre Iguodala could try to defend him, but they could not match him scoring-wise. So that's why the Warriors went and got Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, easy money sniper, has always been a premier scorer. No, I'm not disrespecting his defensive prowess, but I'm talking about just flat out putting the ball in the bucket. That is the LeBron James kryptonite. Now, could you make a deal to Houston for a Kevin Durant? Yes. And you wouldn't really have to tear down your nucleus. The only person that would have to go in that starting five would be Jared Allen. That would move Evan Mobley to the five. Okay? There's not a center other than Zubac in Indiana that you would have to worry about Evan Mobley being able to compete with. Every center in the East he can compete with. That includes Karl Anthony Towns. He can compete with. Now, Joel Embiid, that's different. But he can compete with just about everybody. Okay? So you can do a package of Jared Allen, Dennis Schroeder, a first round, second round pick, and you bring me back Asar Thompson, and you give me Kevin Durant. I make that trade tomorrow. If it, salaries match up, things of that nature, I make that deal tomorrow. And now you have somebody who can neutralize LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Anybody else, even at 42 years old, LeBron's going to cook him. If it's Jonathan Kuminga, LeBron's going to cook him. If it's Jalen Tyson, as much as I like JT, LeBron's going to cook him. DeMar DeRozan will hold his own, but easy money sniper, LeBron James is going to have to pause. When he sees Kevin Durant, he's got to take a pause. He knows he's got to bring his A game. And guaranteed the Lakers wouldn't have beat the Houston Rockets if Kevin Durant was healthy. That's just my opinion. Now, the Cavaliers going to go after Kuminga? Yeah, they're going to go after Kuminga. Okay? But they're going to try to figure out a way where they don't have to give up Jared Allen. All right? As the Cavaliers stand right now, they are, to me, 6 in the Eastern Conference. As they're constructed right now, they're number 6 in the Eastern Conference. They're not better than Philadelphia. They're not better than New York. They're not better than Indiana. Okay? Those are just 3. They're not. They're better than Detroit because Detroit has done absolutely nothing. If I'm Cade Cunningham, I'm suing the Detroit Pistons for malpractice. They've done nothing. They've gotten nobody. Cade Cunningham is the Detroit Pistons right now. Orlando is not going to be very good because they got rid of their coach, and Paolo Banchero has no idea how to lead that group, and everybody else around Paolo Banchero is stir-fried, hot butter, street garbage, including Desmond Bane. You went and you spent all that money on Desmond Bane, and he got you nowhere. So Orlando's going to struggle. Okay? So, I mean, I'm looking at the Cavaliers right now, 6 in the Eastern Conference. They got to do something. They can't run this back the way that these guys are constructed. They can't do it. And Kenny Atkinson has to be better. Let's call the spade a spade. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Okay? Kenny Atkinson was outcoached the entire playoffs. J.B. Bickerstaff outcoached him. Mike Brown ran circles around him. Because analytically speaking, they should have won the championship. Yeah. But physically speaking, you guys got swept in the Eastern Conference Finals and looked absolutely terrible. You left James Harden, who is a notorious non-defender. You left him on an island to guard Jalen Brunson. On an island. And you sat and you told the media, Oh no, I trust James Harden on defense. Huh? Who? You? I guarantee if you poll half the teams that he played for, they never trusted him on defense. He's a sieve. He's been that way his entire career. I mean, I think he played a little bit when he first got drafted to Oklahoma City, but let's think about it. James Harden believes that his offense supersedes his defense. It did when he was 28, 29, not at 37, 38. No, you can't get around them guys like you used to. All right. So Cavaliers got some work to do. All right. One final break here. Listen, once again, if you guys have not subscribed to the Locker Room, then I need you to go to YouTube, the tube called you, and I need you to type in the Locker Room with Coach Young. You will see this symbol right behind my head. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I love your feedback. Okay. I talk Cleveland sports, but I also talk Arizona high school sports. Okay. One part of the Locker Room is being able to talk to, I've been out in Arizona here for 20 years now, and I've coached for that long. I just recently retired about a year ago, almost 2 years now. And so, what I do is I go to various high schools, in the Valley here, and I talk to, student athletes and talk to coaches. So, the Locker Room Arizona, I'm telling y'all right now, is blowing up. I got some interviews coming in, and so I just like to showcase a lot of Arizona high school athletes. So that's the Arizona side of the Locker Room, and then there's my Cleveland side of the Locker Room. So two places that I've been, two places that I love, and so if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, I'm telling you right now, go to the Locker Room with Coach Young on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. Okay, TikTok, I'm here. Okay, but on TikTok, it's the Coach Young Network. The CYN. Okay, so you come on the Coach Young Network, you'll get this content. You can go on the gram too. The Locker Room is on the gram, on the book. All right, you can get the Locker Room anywhere. All right, on your social medias. I'm actually the Locker Room is on X now, or formerly called Twitter. So I'm everywhere, y'all. So go ahead, like, subscribe, comment. You can't miss it. I'm telling you. Okay. And I'm always about the smoke, y'all. I'm always about the smoke. That's what I do. Okay. Because my motto has always been this. You may not like what I'm saying, but you will listen. Okay. All right. We'll talk a little guards for a second, little Cleveland Guardians. So Jose Ramirez returned. They've still been kind of floundering. They're kind of floating around. And so they made a trade. I'm not giving you the details of the trade because to me it was Minimowski. It didn't mean nothing to me. The trades didn't mean anything to me. The Guardians need a bat. They need some hitting because I think their pitching is elite. I think Gavin Williams is elite. Okay. Tanner Bybee is okay. Okay, but they're an elite group. Zambrowski, Cade Smith, their closer. The Guardians' pitching is elite, but they cannot be elite if you do not have timely hitting. And right now, the Guardians can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag. Okay. Now, I think there's still a couple of games out of first place. They're not that far behind. Can they make the playoffs? I believe they will. The key is, can they hit in the playoffs? All right. Kyle Manzardo's starting to come around because Kyle Manzardo has been absolutely terrible this season. I mean, terrible. He's been terrible. And so he's starting to come back around. With Kyle Manzardo, it's either feast or famine. Either you're going to get a 2-run home run or you're going to get a strikeout. There's nothing in between. Okay. So after the All-Star break, they're still floundering, but it's ebbs and flows when it comes to baseball. I mean, there's 162 games. It's ebbs and flows. I'm just hoping that the Guardians will begin to catch fire sometime soon. I'm hoping that Jose Ramirez gets back to Jose Ramirez form after coming back from injured list. Chase DeLauter, I really like Chase DeLauter. I think I told my guys on 3 the Hard Way. Chase DeLauter reminds me of, for my Cleveland Indian / Guardian fans, of Super Joe Charbonneau. He reminds me of Joe Charbonneau. Now, Joe Charbonneau was a one-hit wonder, but he had an MVP year. But I see Chase DeLauter, if he stays healthy, I think they got to find. Okay, I think they got to find. And the Guardians always seem to find talent. Here's the problem with the Cleveland Guardians is keeping the talent. They have trouble keeping the talent because, I mean, look at Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor, homegrown. You couldn't pay him. Now he's in New York. He's with the Mets and he's floundering. Okay. I even heard some people say, hey, trade for Frankie Lindor. Where you going to play? Because you got Travis Bazzana at second base. Okay. We have a quality shortstop. We got a quality third baseman. Okay. The only one I'm trying to figure out why he hasn't come around is Gabriel Arias. Why hasn't he figured it out yet? And how much longer are you going to do this Gabriel Arias experimentation to figure out that he's either good or he's not good? Okay. We need a catcher who can hit. We haven't had a legitimate hitting catcher since Sandy Alomar Jr. Like legitimate hitting catcher. Like Sandy was a above great catcher, but as a hitter, Sandy could rake it. We haven't had a catcher since. Not somebody who strikes fear. So the Guardians have got some work to do. The Guardians have got a lot of work to do. And so I'm looking forward to the last half of this season. All right. All right. I think I got to everything. So now let me give you they call it on 3 the Hard Way, my coach's rant. So that's what I call it here on the Locker Room. And so my coach's rant today is Stephen A. Now, Stephen A. Smith, worldwide, cultural phenomenon, sportscaster, reporter, you name it, Stephen A. Smith is sports-wise has reported on it. The first time I saw Stephen A. Smith was when he was in Philly reporting on the 76ers and Allen Iverson. That was the first time I got wind of Stephen A. Smith, and everybody knows the accolades. Don't always agree with Stephen A. Openly. A lot of times he says things that I don't agree with. But in this particular instance, he came on and he apologized to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving took a stance during the COVID year without taking the jab. And he lost close to $100 million because of that. Well, to not get overly political, it has now been discovered that the protocol for COVID-19 was in fact fabricated and made up. Stephen A. back in the day just absolutely flat blasted Kyrie for not allowing him to saying that he wasn't a leader, he didn't lead, he was selfish, thinking about himself. And he came back and he apologized for it. He apologized to Kyrie, because he misspoke. So here is my coach's rant. Y'all give me a second here. Let me fix this. Here is my coach's rant. It's very admirable that Stephen A. manned up and apologized to Kyrie Irving, because he did it, he did it publicly, and then he came back and apologized publicly. Well, I'm an individual that says this. As a man, you go to that man and you apologize to his face. Yeah, you can sit on TV and you can apologize, and I'm not poo-pooing his apology, not by all means, because it takes a real strong man to be able to go on live TV, internet, the whole nine, and apologize to another man for misspeaking. But to me, I'm a face-to-face individual. So my thing is, as Stephen A., you ain't got to put it in the public spotlight, but you need to go to Kyrie personally, and you need to apologize to that man, because as a sportscaster, an African-American sportscaster, it was very easy for us to knock him down, and I didn't. I supported him to knock him down because he made a choice about his physical well-being. But to me, if you're going to publicly, not necessarily, I don't want to call it shaming him, but that's basically what it was, and then you publicly apologize to him, then you need to privately do it man to man. That's what I believe Stephen A. Smith should do, is go apologize to Kyrie Irving man to man. Because there were a lot of people who took a stand back then who were vilified. And guess what? Now they're vindicated. So my coach's rant is, Stephen A., you need to have a private conversation with Kyrie Irving and apologize to that man face to face. I don't care if you got to get on a plane and fly to Dallas. There shouldn't be no phone call. Nah, it should be face to face. Y'all sit down and break bread as men, and you look that young man in the eye and you say, Kyrie, I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong, brother. I was absolutely wrong. And then from now on, to all the reporters, before you make a decision on burying somebody, make sure you get all the facts before you bury someone. If you hear Coach Young say somebody is garbage, trust and believe that I got the numbers to prove it. Now, unless I just don't like it, and I'll just, that's just how I am. Okay? Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but when you make your opinion, make sure you got stuff to back it up with. Okay? Like I said, Desmond Bane was garbage. I'm just talking. Because Desmond Bane is a quality NBA player. He just could not help Orlando get over the hump. But that's because the leader of that team didn't like Jamal Mosley. But I digress. So my coach's rant is, Stephen A., face-to-face with this young man. Face-to-face, sit down with him, break bread. Y'all have a beverage together, and y'all talk about, what you said many, many moons ago, and that you have apologized publicly, but you need to sit down with that young man and apologize to him privately. That's what I would do, all right? If I had, your type of money, you know what I'm saying? I don't have Stephen A. money, phone call from me, you know what I mean? So, all right, y'all. Listen, I will be back. Same time, same bat channel. Welcome to everybody that has joined me today. Thank you very much. This is the Locker Room. This is your friendly neighborhood coach. Please enjoy your week. Please say something nice to somebody and do something nice for somebody. That's something that everybody needs. We need more love in this world right now with everything that's going on. All right. And as I always say, love on somebody. Tell somebody that you love them. Don't always assume that they know. I'll see you later.
Have reached the home of Robert and Dolores Young. Please feel free to leave a message and time of call. Have a blessed day. Goodbye.